Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Odyssey Recaps, just the Tea edition. Today we're recapping book or chapter 20, titled by Emily Wilson as The Last Banquet. Now, just to give a quick trigger warning, this chapter has a spooky / horror film element to it, so if that's not your vibe, please stop here and preserve your peace, but if you're down for some drama with a light sprinkling of gore, stick around. So, we open on Odysseus lying on a pile of sheepskins from all the sheep the suitors had slaughtered for their banquets, an effective, if slightly heavy handed bit of symbolism. Now, Odysseus is still disguised as a beggar, so where appropriate, I'll be using his alter ego named Phodicius. Just keep in mind that he is still disguised, and the only people who know who he really is are Telemachus and the elderly slave nanny Eurycleia, but they don't know that the other knows that they know. So, they know, but they don't know that the other one knows. Anyway, Odysseus has not slept a wink. He has spent the whole night plotting the murders of the Dubros suitors. He has heard some of the slave girls slipping out of the house to presumably go bang the Dubros, and he is pissed. He wants to kill them all on the spot, which I think is a massive overreaction. But he decides to let them have one more night of fun before he maybe does a group slaughter. So he's just sitting there stewing in rage, and the poem compares his angry tossing and turning to him being a sausage full of fat and blood being rotated over a fire. And guys, this is why it's so important to let go of your anger. The next time you find yourself plotting mass slaughter, remind yourself not to be a juicy blood sausage. Just let go of the murder vibes and find peace. Now, this advice is not Athena approved because she's actually worried that Odysseus isn't angry enough. She wants him to be a whole 10-pack of angry revenge sausages. So she appears next to him and she's all like, "Bro, what's up? Why aren't you happy? You're finally at home with your sad son and smoke show of a wife." And Odysseus is like, "Yeah, but I'm a tiny bit worried what happens after I kill 118 sons and pals of the most prominent families in the area. Like, that seems like it might end badly for me." And Athena's like, "Ugh, stop. I'm literally a goddess. I haven't let you die yet, have I? I've totes got your back. Don't even worry. Just go to sleep. It'll all be fine. I pinky promise." Then she uses her NyQuil powers and puts that man to sleep. But as soon as he's asleep, Penelope wakes up in a different room, and our girl is just sobbing in bed. She starts praying to the goddess of the hunt, Artemis, begging her to just come and shoot her in the heart so she can just die already. She says if an arrow to the heart isn't convenient, she'll also take a magical wind that throws her into the rivers of ocean that separate the mortal realm from the realm of the dead, and then just like drown her there, if that's easier. She starts talking about other unlucky women in mythology and how they got to die. And she's like, "Kill me too. Come on, just end it already." And she says she wants to die immediately because she doesn't want to make a lesser husband glad. Girl is like, "I have had filet mignon. Don't even try to feed me this gas station burger meat." Then she says that she woke up crying because she was dreaming that her husband Odysseus was back sleeping next to her. And that when she woke up and he wasn't there, she was just devastated. Then the poem cuts back to Odysseus, who has woken up again, hearing Penelope crying. And in his Athena-induced sleep haze, he thinks Penelope is next to him and that she recognizes him again. And then he's super sad when it's not true. Then Odysseus gets up and just like runs outside to pray to Zeus. And he is like, "Bro, come on, this sucks so bad. Send me a sign or something if we're on the right track." And Zeus is like, "Ugh, fine, I guess." And sends a few like booms of thunder. And Odysseus is like, "Bet," and goes back to his murder planning. Meanwhile, an exhausted slave girl is inside working the mill, grinding wheat for the dude bros' pizza pockets, and she hears the Zeus thunder, and she's like, "Ugh, I really hope that's Zeus, and that it means that the suitors are going to die soon, because I am so beyond over them and their douchery and their need for ground wheat." Which is impressive, because when I hear thunder, I almost never think it means mass slaughters on the horizon. So, good on her for knowing what that means. Anyway, the house starts waking up, and Telemachus comes out of his bedroom and just immediately starts yelling at his elderly nanny. And he's all like, "OMG, why didn't you make the beggar was sleeping in his nice cozy bed? Why did you make him sleep on like the floor on some rags? Ugh, this is so typical of my mother. She looks after the dubers but doesn't even look after the ragged beggars I bring home. So freaking typical of her." Which, like, rude. But also, how often does this happen? Like, how often are you bringing like beggars and expecting her to like house them in your palace? Anyway, the nanny slave is like, "Chill, bro. We tried to get him into a bed. He says he's not a bed guy. Not much we can do about that." And Telemachus just like turns around and walks off, which again, rude. I'm starting to think that this semester at sea was not a good idea for Telemachus. Or maybe it's his dad's presence or the dude bros. Either way, bro needs to be nicer. He needs some manners. So the slave nanny turns around and starts just organizing the rest of the slaves into fixing up the house for another day of dude bro frat house style partying. It's a lot of work. And while they're finishing up, Swine Bro shows up. He heads straight for Odysseus and is like, yo, they treating you okay, bro? And Odysseus is like, absolutely not. They are throwing stools up in here. And Swine Bro is like, what? Then the evil goat bro shows up and he immediately starts mocking and threatening Odysseus. But Odysseus doesn't do anything. He just glares at him and plans more murder, which is admittedly very creepy. Then a new animal bro shows up entering the villa. This one is Cowbro. He's super nice. He looks at Odysseus and is like, damn, who is that? He's got the sexy bearing of a king. And then he greets Odysseus and is like, hey, sexy, hello, stranger, how are you? I'm sorry for whatever happened that made you a beggar. Ugh, it makes me so sad to think about how unfair the world is to sexy men like us. I can't stop thinking about King Odysseus. He's been lost for so long. I wonder if he's in rags just like you. So unfair. He was always so nice to me. He even gave me my first herd of cattle to watch over for him when I was like a little kid, and now I've got like 1,000,000,000. Those bitches be multiplying. But now he's gone, and I don't know if I should just take his cows and run before the Dubro suitors eat them all, or if I should just stay and like wait it out. I don't know what to do, but I can't leave while Telemachus is still here. But those Dubros are like pretty openly plotting to murder him. So yeah, I'm torn. I guess I'll stay and just really hope sexy Odysseus comes back soon and gets rid of the suitors somehow because like, ugh, we're in trouble. Now, Odysseus is like, bro, you're not going to believe this, but I just got a prophecy that Odysseus is coming back like any minute now. If you want to see all these Dubros get like brutally murdered by him, just like stick around. You can watch. Cowbro is like, oh, that'd be fun. I'd maybe even join in. Meanwhile, the Dubro suitors are just standing around outside, just like casually plotting how to murder Telemachus, which like, guys, OPSEC. Come on, at least have this conversation down by the sea or something. Not like right here where literally everyone can hear you. But in the middle of their planning, an eagle flies by with a dove in its talons, and one of the suitors is like, bro, that is for sure an omen. Let's switch from murder planning to dinner party planning. It might be safer for us. And the other bros are like, sure thing. We can finish the murder planning later when there are less birds around. And they all head inside and they just start like slaughtering all the animals for their dinner. And like, yeah, it does seem to say that they're slaughtering the animals inside the palace, like in the walls of the palace, which, like, no wonder the slaves are mad at them. That's disgusting. Anyway, Telemachus leads Odysseus into the dining hall and is like, you bros better treat this man right. Don't touch my friend or I will do some touching of my own. And the Dubro suitors are seriously weirded out and a little impressed by how tough Telemachus has gotten. And they're totally willing to leave Odysseus alone and like listen to Telemachus and accept his dominance. But Athena does not want this. She's not having it. She wants Odysseus and Telemachus at maximum rage for her slaughter party later. So she makes the Dubro suitors do more insults and threats to Odysseus. Finally, one of them like sarcastically throws an ox foot at Odysseus, who dodges and then like smiles at him in a scornful rage, which sounds legit terrifying. And also, this isn't like a fun 90s movie food fight moment. Like, oxen are big boys. That is one hefty hoof right there. Now, New Energy Telemachus thinks this is a hoof too far, and he is like, bro, you are so lucky you missed. If you had hit him, I would have taken my sword and cut your stomach out, and your father would be holding your wedding instead of your funeral, or holding your funeral instead of your wedding. Either way, it will be bad. Which, this line goes so hard, but it's also like concerningly violent. But they are openly planning to murder him, so I guess, like, go off, queen. Do what you gotta do. And he does indeed go off. He goes on a full-blown rant where he says he's sick of watching them destroy his palace and abuse his slaves and favorite beggars, and he wants them to just try and kill him now because he is done, and he'd rather be dead than put up with any more of this bullshit. The suitors just sit around in stunned silence for a bit, and then one of them is like, okay, bro, that's fair. We'll back off. But like, for reals, tell your mom to just pick one of us to marry so we can leave and you can just kick back and have the palace to yourself. And Telemachus is like, sure thing. I'll tell her later to pick ASAP, and I'll even throw in some cash to pay for the wedding. But I won't force her to leave if she doesn't want to. Which, good. Stop forcing women to leave their homes. This is great. So, for the next bit, we're going to veer very heavily into horror territory. So, if you want to sleep tonight, just like, cut the video here, guys. This is where it's getting gross. All right. Okay. Forever is left. Buckle up. So Athena is not enjoying the non-murdery direction this conversation is going in, so she takes over the suitors' minds and makes them laugh uncontrollably. Like, they're just cackling wildly. Then they lose control of their faces, which, like, what does that even mean? Like, is it just that they can't control the laughing? Or have they turned, like, into jello people and their faces are melting? Unclear. Anyway, then the plates of meat in the room all start dripping blood, and the suitors are all just like crying and sobbing, but they're still laughing, and there's just like blood running all over the place, like everywhere. Ugh. No, thank you. I want off this ride. Thank you very much. But a random prophet bro in the crowd starts screaming, and he's like, OMG, guys, what's happening to you? You're all wrapped in darkness. Your screams are blazing like fire. The walls and ceilings are splattered with your blood. There's ghosts all over on their way to the underworld. The sun has vanished, and everything is in darkness. Ah! When he's done with this creepy prophecy, the Dubros seem to have like snapped back to themselves with no memory of the absolute nightmare field that just happened. And they're all like, lol, what's happening? You're so silly, Prophet Bro. Get out of here. This dinner is for serious boys only. And Prophet Bro is like, you in danger, girl, but like all of you. This is some Final Destination crap. None of you are making it alive. And then he just like turns and runs away, which, smartest man in here. Excellent move. Everyone, follow this guy's example. If it's weird, if the walls start bleeding, leave. Anyway, once he's run screaming from the palace, the dude bros decide to go back to teasing Telemachus. And they're like, bro, why did you invite the strangest people to stay? You should try selling them as slaves instead. At least that way you can make some money. Which I don't really think is funny, but I'm not a fictional ancient Greek mythological dude bro, so what do I know? Telemachus is super creepily just ignores this quote unquote joke and watches his dad, and they're both just like plotting murder together. And then it turns out that Penelope had slipped in at some point during the maniacal forced laughter and bleeding meat platters and was just like sitting silently in the corner just listening. And the chapter ends there. And the poem is like, nothing can save these bitches now, but it's fine because they deserve to die because they suck so hard. Which, like, fair, but also this is yet another reason why I absolutely wouldn't have survived in this world. I would have been out the second those plates started bleeding. I don't care how nice that palace is. It is too haunted now. No amount of sage can possibly save it. And we haven't even gotten to the actual, like, mass murder yet. Ugh, sweet baby Zeus. Anyway, if you also haven't run screaming, join me next time for chapter 21, which is not as gory as this one, but we have not gotten to the true gore part yet. That is still coming. Anyway, see you there for chapter 21. And in the meantime, stay golden, friends.